When looking for a 7-seater SUV, we always go for the PPVs, the pickup platform-based vehicles. But perhaps for the same money, if not less, I have found a much better option, and it is this car right here. This is the 2022 Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6T, a car that is extremely worth it for the price. Today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Before we talk about the exterior of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, I just want to show you the key, which is piano black and looks very premium. You even have a remote start function, but what's cooler about this car is that as long as you have the key with you, you can put it in your pocket. You don't even have to touch the door handles. As you approach the car, it will automatically unlock just like that, and that is just amazing. And then you go into the exterior, it is rather understated, but they more than made up for it with this massive grille up front with those crystal-like effects. You also get so much sensors right here and also cameras for your 360-degree view camera. LED headlights with DRLs as well up front. Now towards the side, it's not as chunky as the PPV SUVs, but it looks rather muscular as well. Now you do get 18-inch rims down below wrapped in chunky Cooper 55 series tires, and you even have this chrome strip down below and also repeaters on your side mirrors. But aside from that, there's really not much here except for this chrome piece right here which says TGD. Unfortunately, that is a little bit plasticky. Ground clearance is at 200 millimeters as well, which is pretty good for Manila floods. And now towards the back of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, I really appreciate how there is no Chery logo. Instead, they do spell it out for you. It says Tiggo 8 Pro right here, but on the right side, you might wonder what 290T is. That's actually the torque figures of this car, so probably 290 torque. Anyway, down below are two legitimate exhaust pipes, and you also do have a power tailgate. Now this car has this function that if you have your smart key with you and you stand beside the tailgate for a while, it will automatically open, but personally I only got it to work once. Anyway, over here with the third row seats up, you barely have any space except for some soft bags. But if you do fold down that third row, you're looking at about 1,200 liters of space. Fold down all the seats, including the second row, which also folds 60/40, and you can extend it all the way to 2,101 liters. Now to open up the hood of the Tiggo 8 Pro, you do have to pull the lever inside twice, just like a BMW. And over here, once you do open it, you do even get hood struts. Under here is a 1.6-liter turbocharged gasoline engine making 195 horsepower and also 290 Newton meters of torque. This engine right here is more than adequate to propel this giant thing, and it is quite sprightly as well, and we will see that in the driving segment. You can do around 7 kilometers per liter inside the city and about 13 kilometers per liter on the highway. Transmission, by the way, is a dual clutch transmission with 7 speeds. And now here inside the interior, first check the door. And it actually sounds very substantial. Now the interior of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro is so amazing that I really do have to nitpick and point out some of the things that I don't like first, and there's not a lot. The steering wheel is a little bit too big. This air vent thing right here, it pops off sometimes, and there is a lot of piano black that is a scratch magnet. But really, aside from that, the interior is quite amazing. Soft touch materials up top, even right there towards the end of the windshield, they are still covered in soft touch leather. Here on the side, and even the seats, which by the way are so damn soft, you can like squish them all the way. Plus, look at this headrest right here. It's like an Alfred or an airplane wherein there are ears to kind of just cradle your head. I really do love it. 6-way power just for the driver's side with 3 setting memory as well. Now we go back to the steering wheel. I said it is quite big. However, that's okay because it does house so much things in here, including your adaptive cruise control buttons and your radio buttons. Plus, you also do get paddle shifters. You even have a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster that is really easy to read, and it even shows you so much for your adaptive cruise control and all that. It's just so nice. It can even recognize trucks, buses, cars, bikes, and pedestrians. It's just really cool. This is one of my favorite instrument clusters out there. Towards the center is another 12.3-inch touchscreen, which is where your infotainment resides. And you even have a 360-degree view camera. But if you go down below, there is yet another screen, and this screen is solely for your AC system. Now you're gonna ask, why did they put an additional screen right there? Well, it is quite simple. You know how in a lot of cars nowadays wherein everything is integrated into the screen, and for example, you are using Waze with your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which by the way this one has, and you want to switch your AC fan to go up or down, well, it's gonna cover your navigation. But with this one, since it is separate, you can easily control it right here. The shifter is also an electronic shifter and rather easy to use, although there are times that when you want to put it into neutral, it would accidentally go into reverse, but you get used to it rather easily. So much more buttons right here, all touch sensitive, and you even get an electronic parking brake and auto hold as well. There's the features of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. You do get 8 speakers, you get 6 airbags, and the entire suite of advanced driver assistance systems such as forward collision warning, autonomous emergency braking, rear cross traffic alert, as well as lane departure warning and lane keep assist. You also get ambient lighting that can move to the beat of the music, a wireless charging pad, and a wide-angle rear view mirror. But did you know that the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro isn't purely a driver's car? This car is also great if you are being driven by a driver or a chauffeur. So now here at the back seats, we check the door first. And it also sounds incredibly substantial. I really love the sound it makes. Back here, you get tons of legroom and also tons of headroom despite it having a panoramic sunroof, which by the way is also quite big. And you do get your own very substantial feeling armrest as well with 2 cup holders on it and also your own air vents. I do find that the air vents sometimes blow a little too soft when it comes to the air, but you can easily get around that just by turning up your fan speed in front. Now also back here, if you want to see 3 people, you can easily do it because the car is rather wide and the floor is rather flat. Plus, remember how I said that this car is also great for being chauffeured around in? Why? Look at this. I can move this seat right here using controls on the side of the seat. That way I don't need to ask my driver or my chauffeur to do it. You can just give yourself extra legroom right here. The seats themselves too, they are very comfortable, and they also have the same butterfly ears for your headrest, which means that you can easily lounge back here and you can even recline your seats and they go pretty far back. Plus, if you look at this door right here, this is quite clever. So there is like a blind spot monitoring indicator right there. Why is that? If there is a car approaching from your side rear, that's gonna light up to tell you not to open your doors. That is just so damn clever. The Chery Tiggo 8 Pro is also a 7-seater vehicle. There are 2 more extra seats at the back, but they are best reserved for smaller adults or children. However, if I do slide these second row seats forward, it's gonna give me considerably less legroom, but it's still enough for shorter trips, and that will give the people at the back adequate legroom as long as they are below, let's say, 5'9". Right, so now we drive the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro 1.6T. This car is tuned for comfort and comfort alone, so don't expect any handling from this car because it will definitely bolt about. But since it is comfort oriented, when you are on roads, good or bad, man, the ride is just supple. I mean, the way it deals with those like bumps and potholes, it doesn't glide over it. You actually do feel it, but it's very soft. And that is much appreciated both by you, the driver, and if you do have like a VIP seated there at the back. Next would be the power. So 195 horsepower doesn't sound like much for a car this big, but you step on it and it really goes. You'd expect that this car would have 200 plus horsepower, and if I didn't have the spec sheet with me, I would easily think that this car has more than 200 horsepower. And I'm very curious to try out the 2.0 liter version of this car and just how much more power it can give you, because this car already as it is pretty fast. And also, since it's made it to a dual clutch transmission, you can barely feel the gear shifts. But unlike most dual clutches, it's not incredibly jerky. It's only when you are in inclines that, yeah, it does get a little bit jerky. In line with the comfort-oriented nature of the Tiggo 8 Pro, the steering is also incredibly light, which means you can easily maneuver this even if you have weaker arms. But if you are more into heavier steering, you can easily configure that inside your infotainment screen. Do take note though that even on the sporty setting of it, it feels a little bit too artificial, so I do suggest you just keep it in its regular, very light comfort mode. Now, the problem with this car is that although it is easy to maneuver because of the light steering, it does feel a little bit bloated in terms of its width. So if you are in tighter streets, you're gonna have a little bit of a hard time at times unless you already get used to it, which honestly doesn't take too long. And you do have that 360-degree view camera, which can help you out in those times. Noise-wise, the Tiggo 8 Pro is surprisingly quiet at speed. However, for some reason, when you are in lower speeds, there is a little bit of tire noise. But don't worry about wind noise because it is hushed pretty well. Another thing I noticed is that when you are at idle, this car barely vibrates. I know it's just a 1.6 liter engine, and usually small displacement engines can be a little bit shaky, but you barely feel any of that transmit into the cabin. The insulation that they put and the vibration harshness is also pretty good inside the Tiggo 8 Pro. But by far my favorite thing about the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro is the seats, because they are just oh so supple, and this headrest right here, you can just like lean back, and together with that huge steering wheel, you can just put your hands right here by the bottom of the steering wheel and just cruise along, especially on longer journeys. And the seats in this one, it's as if you're getting a hug. It's like you're being snuggled by these seats with its bolsterings. Not too aggressively like a sports car, but it just feels very... You feel like a baby, and it feels good. You feel loved by the seats inside the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. And also, since you can easily do that and just relax with these seats, another thing that I do have to point out is the auto drive feature in the Tiggo 8 Pro. So in a lot of cars with adaptive cruise control, they have lane departure warning and lane keep assist. But for this one, it has all of that, including low speed follow and low speed maneuvering, as in the steering wheel itself will move by itself even in low speeds, and that is just quite amazing. Now, what about pricing? The Chery Tiggo 8 Pro in this 1.6T trim only cost 1.7 million pesos. And it even comes with a 7-year or 200,000 kilometer warranty, which is class leading, industry leading even here in the Philippines. And at this price, you really won't expect so much, yet it delivers so much comfort, refinement, and power as well. So if you're looking for a 7-seater SUV, maybe it's time that you consider the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro instead of the other typical PPV SUVs.